बिटप श्रीयुक्त वृंदावनी राधा कृष्ण महर्निशं प्रव्रजतो जीवार्थदौ जौ बुधा वंदे रूप सनातन रघुजग श्रीजीव गोपालक कृष्ण कीर्तन अमृतांबनिधि धीराधीर जनप्रिय प्रियकरं निर्मत्सरं पूजितं शंखापूर्वक नामगाननतिभिः कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहार विहारकादि विदितं चत्तन्तौ दीनौ च जं शंखापूर्वक नामगाननतिभिः कालावसानिकृतं निद्राहार विहारकादि विदितं चत्तन्तौ दीनौ च जं गोपी भावरसामृता दिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नौ नमो वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुयुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परं प्रेमामृतांबनिधि कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परं राधा पुण्य तटे कलिंग तनया तीरे च बंशी बटे प्रेमन माधव सादसे सदसया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा राधा पुण्य तटे कलिंग तनया तीरे च बंशी बटे प्रेमन माधव सादसे सदसया ग्रस्तौ प्रमत्तौ सदा राधा कृष्ण गुणस्मिते मधुरिमा नंदेन मोहितौ वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुयुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकं कृष्ण कीर्तन गानन तन परं प्रेमामृतांबनिधि धीराधीर जनप्रियं प्रियकरं निर्मत्सरं पूजितं श्रीचैतन्य कृपाभरौ भुवि भुव भारावहं तारकं वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुयुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकं हे राधे ब्रज देवी के चललिते हे नंद सुनकुतः श्री गोवर्धन पादपतले कालिंदिवाने कुतः घोषन्ताविति सर्वतो ब्रजपुरे खेदै महाविभलौ वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुयुगं श्रीजीव गोपालकं Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujagan Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priyal Priyakaral Nirma Saral Pujital Sri Chaitanya Kripabhanam Bhuvi Bhuva Bharavaham Tarakam Bande Rupa Sanatana Raghujagan Sri Jiva Gopalakam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam Premamritam Banidhi Dhira Dhira Jana Priya Priyakanam Nima Sajam Pujitam Krishna Kirtana Ganana Tanaparam.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. I believe our good friend Vishwakarma either must be snowed in or traveling somewhere. No problem. We understand that in this material world there are always difficulties. We do know that recently in the eastern part of Canada and many parts of Canada and the northeastern part of the United States, there's been a very violent snowstorms, 2 consecutive snowstorms. I was thinking yesterday, very recently, how in some scientific circles, they're trying to conquer material nature. But unfortunately, in the material world, no one can conquer material nature. We see in the Bhagavad-gītā, Krishna explains, Maya Dyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharacharam, that this material energy is functioning under my direction. Lord Krishna says directly, which is why any attempt to conquer this material world is futile. It will never happen. It's impossible. The very laws of material nature means we are being conquered every day. We have often discussed how the problems of material existence, namely birth, death, old age, and disease, affect every living being in the universe. Not just human beings, also the animal, the bird, the beast, Everybody is affected by these miseries of material existence. And then we see also that in the material world, human beings especially are subjected to threefold miseries due to the influence of the modes of nature, namely adhyatmika klesha, miseries due to the body and mind, adibhautika klesha, miseries due to other living entities, and adidaivika klesha, miseries due to the influence of material nature and demigods. Just like we see recently in California, they've had very, very devastating fires, wildfires. Now, somebody may say, well, someday we'll conquer the material nature. That is wishful thinking. In the past, there have been many wildfires. There are wildfires at the present, and there will be wildfires in the future. As it is well known, California, in the western part of the United States, is subject to many earthquakes. As a matter of fact, there are websites where you can monitor these earthquakes as they happen, where they happen exactly, what is the level of the earthquake on the Richter scale, but can anyone do anything about it? This is called adidaivika, the miseries of material existence. Just like there is very heavy snow in the United States, can these scientists or politicians say, that's it, we're going to solve this problem? There will be no big snowstorms in Canada, and there will be no big snowstorms in Russia, Scandinavia. No, that will not happen. But yet, foolishly, some people think, oh, we will solve the problem in the future. In the future. Would you buy a house or sell your house and somebody sell you, I'll give you a postage check. At some point in the future, you'll get your money, but I want the house. It doesn't work that way. So we see that due to the influence of Maya, or the material energy or illusion, people think I am this body, and this place of birth of my body is worshipable. Bhama Ijjadi. Bhama Ijjadi means that this particular place where I was born, where my family is, where my nation, where my society, that this is very sacred. This is due to the influence of the illusory energy. Because factually, every human being is not just a body. We are not the body. We are an eternal spiritual soul. But under the influence of upadi, or false designations, we think this is mine, this belongs to my country, this belongs to my family, this belongs to my society. These are very noble thoughts according to material society, but according to the Bhagavatam, it is described Saiva Gokara. Person who think in this way have the intelligence of a cow or an ass. Human beings are meant for finer discrimination, for better discrimination. It is not complicated to understand. But because we're so attached to this material world, without thinking of our eternal spiritual nature, therefore we suffer here. We suffer here. And foolishly, we think that counteracting the suffering, that this is happiness. People think if I can somewhere or other get a new car, a better apartment, better clothes, better makeup, or if I can watch this show, this entertainment, that entertainment, and I will be very happy. We see in some parts of the world, when they have large sporting events like the World Cup or the Super Bowl or World Series or Stanley Cup, and so many different sporting events, so many people will be watching. Millions of people will be watching. So this is the reality of the material world, the influence of Maya, the influence of illusion. And to help us clear out this illusion, I see that our good friend Vishwakarma has come back on the screen. maybe you'd like to take over and speak a little bit. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Apologize there for being late. I actually wasn't late, but my power went off at the house here, and the clock stopped and at 9:45, and I didn't know that it was actually 10 after 10, as somehow or other I didn't see the clock had stopped. So I reset the panels and we're back on. And thank you, Yaśodā, for the introduction. And today, we'll move right forward with our program. And I wanted to go to a section because the nectar of devotion is very revealing. And it gives us insight into spiritual life, which is not possible for the ordinary conditioned soul. In fact, the teachings of Rupa Goswami, as presented by our spiritual master, is a window into the spiritual sky. And I'm reading a section from there called Dread and Ghastliness. And I wanted to read it today to us based on a situation that we're in with one of our members, one of my friends, who is having trouble with his body. Yes, very much so. Suddenly he was diagnosed with extensive cancer. I had been in Mexico for 5 weeks with him, and there was no sign of this disease at that time. But all of a sudden, about 5 weeks ago, he was diagnosed with different types of cancer in his body. And now he's progressing along. We're hoping he recovers, and we ask everyone to pray for him. Yes. But at the same time, when I read this section from the Nectar of Devotion, I thought it might be relevant for us to hear it this morning at the program. And once again, I apologize. The power went off. Canada is a tough place when it's 30 degrees below zero. So we'll go to dread and ghastliness here. When a devotee, lamenting for his past abominable activities, shows special symptoms on his body, his feeling is called ecstasy in devotional service in ghastliness. Interesting. This is caused by the awakening of his Krishna consciousness. And Prabhupada explains, in this connection, there is the following statement: how can a person take pleasure in the enjoyment of sex life in this body, which is a bag of skin and bones filled with blood, covered by skin and flesh, and which produces mucus and evil smells? This perception is possible only for one who is awakened to Krishna consciousness and who has become fully cognizant of the abominable nature of this material body. Now, someone would think, not me. It's just like, for example, the most amazing thing is you see your mother has died, you see your brother has died, your sister has died, all your friends are dying. Yes, in some way we are, but we think, I won't die. My body is all right, but yours isn't. People kind of celebrate that. Oh, I'm still healthy. Time and tide wait for no man. That's the reality, Dharma Bhavana. That's the illusion. We think we'll live on. We think we're okay, but we're not okay. Unfortunately, false ego doesn't allow us to understand this illusion of material life, which is just very temporary. Life is temporary, but we don't accept that. O fortunate child in the womb of his mother prayed to Krishna as follows: O enemy of Kamsa, I'm suffering so much because of this material body. Oh, yes, we are. And not only the material body, but also the mind, intelligence, and ego. We suffer from that. Someone could say, oh, we don't. I know I suffer all the time from it. Now I'm trapped within a mess of blood, urine, and liquid stool within the womb of my mother. Because I'm living in such a condition, I'm suffering great pangs. Therefore, O divine ocean of mercy, please be kind to me. I have no capacity to be engaged in your loving devotional service, and the devotee is praying, but please save me. Please save me. I was speaking to my friend. This morning, I was chatting with him before the class. And he was saying, oh, we have to send love. What is love? Love is service. If there is no service, there is no love. So unless one has a service attitude to his spiritual master and the devotees of his spiritual master, it's just words. Words are cheap. You can say whatever you want, but when you do something, that shows your real understanding of this, Vijaya Pandit Prabhu, your real understanding of the word love. Love means service. It doesn't mean words. In fact, it's very hard to understand the term love, bhava. It's actually a spiritual term, and it's only revealed to people that are surrendered, like Jayananda and Aprakrita and other great souls that we've associated with. It's a lifetime of service here. Not you come and go at your whim. You do what you want at your whim. I'll do this today, I'll do that tomorrow. This is not discipline. This is not sacrifice. There is a similar statement by a person fallen in the hellish condition of life. Fallen. Now, does that mean it's not hell, Pierangelo? Does it mean that? No, it means hellish. The words are exactly correct. He addressed the Supreme Lord thus, my dear Lord, Yamaraj has placed me in a situation which is full of filthy and obnoxious smells. There are so many insects and worms surrounded by the stools left by different kinds of diseased persons. My God, eh? We don't think it's that bad, do we? After visualizing this horrible scene, my eyes have become sore and I'm becoming nearly blind. I therefore pray, O my Lord, O deliverer from the, the hellish conditions of life, I have fallen into this hell, but I shall try to remember your holy name always. And in this way, I shall try to keep my body and soul together. Very profound, in-depth explanation of how to get out of this material world. This is another instance of ecstatic love for Krishna in an abominable situation. It is to be understood that any person who is constantly engaged in chanting the holy names of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, not Ramo, by the way, not Ramo, has attained a transcendental affection for Krishna. And as such, in any condition of life, he remains satisfied simply by remembering the Lord's name in full affection and ecstatic love. In conclusion, it may be stated that ecstatic love for Krishna in ghastliness appears during the development of dormant neutrality in developed affection. That's, of course, another day for discussion and understanding. And just before I end and we move forward with the program, Prabhupada, I mentioned this week because I heard it on a lecture by Srila Prabhupada the other day. It was a brief clip, about 4 minutes. And he was talking about people that are suffering. He says, oh, the person is suffering so severely, and they're thinking, I want to die. Because the suffering is so difficult, the only solution is, I just die and leave this body. And when Prabhupada, I'm paraphrasing, he says, but they don't realize, because according to their karma, they may be born in another life right away and suffer even more. The material world is a very complex place, very complex karma, Michael. And it's hard to understand the laws of karma. It is. It says that in the Gita very clearly. It's very complex. And different stages of karma, dormant and fructified. So the solution, everyone, is simply to take shelter of devotional service to Srila Prabhupada Dāsa avatar, to take shelter of Srila Prabhupada's instructions, and take shelter of the association of devotees in protecting Prabhupada's legacy. That should be our business. Hare Krishna. We'll move forward with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava. Yes, by Srila Prabhupada. We'll listen. It'll be good. And then after we'll have the reading and discussion. And I apologize again. It was completely the time. My clock went off in my kitchen. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Sai.
Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Punya Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Jayam Swatharam Shukribrajagacharya Sikhara Sadasyaman Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupāda ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se kaho Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivas Adi Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Sri Sri Radha Krishna Go Gopinath Sam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan ki jai. Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Navadvip Dham ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Jamuna Mai ki jai. Tulasi Devi ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Swami Bhaktivinoda ki jai. All glories to the assembled Lord. All glories to the assembled Lord. Thank you very much.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Srimad Bhagavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskrityam. Narayanam namaskrityam. Naram chaiva narottamam. Naram chaiva narottamam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. Tato Jayam Mudirayat. One should utter the means of conquest, Srimad Bhagavatam or Srimad Bhagavad-gītā, after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Narayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author, from Srimad Bhagavatam 1-4. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Srimad Bhagavad-gītā. As we do every week, we will be reading a few selected verses which were introduced personally by Srila Prabhupada himself in New York in 1966 when he began his lectures on Bhagavad-gītā. This is from the introduction on chapter 1. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. Sri Chaitanya Mano Bhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Anvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanvitamscha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of my spiritual master and to the feet of all Vaishnavas. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Rupa Goswami, along with his elder brother Sanatan Goswami, as well as Raghunath Dasa and Raghunath Bhatta, Gopala Bhatta, and Srila Jiva Goswami. I offer my respectful obeisances to Lord Krishna Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, along with Advaita Acharya, Gadada, Srivas, and other associates. I offer my respectful obeisances to Srimati Radharani and Sri Krishna, along with their associates Sri Lalita and Vishaka. E Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostuti. Oh, my dear Krishna, you are the friend of the distressed and the source of creation. You are the master of the gopis and the lover of Radharani. I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshware Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. I offer my respects to Radharani, whose bodily complexion is like molten gold, and who is the queen of Vrindavana. You are the daughter of King Vrishabhanu, and you are very dear to Lord Krishna. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and who are full of compassion for the fallen souls. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Bhagavad-gītā. It should be noted that this reading is being conducted on the basis of the original 1972 non-adulterated, non-interpolated edition of the Bhagavad-gītā, the Macmillan edition. All synonyms, translations, and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Today we will be reading from chapter 12, text 18 and 19. Samastratro, text 17, okay. Yo narishyati na dveshti, na sochati na kankshati, shubha shubha parityagi, bhaktiman yaksame priyaha. Ya, one who, na, never, rishyati, takes pleasure, na, never, dveshti, grieves, na, never, sochati, laments, na, never, kankshati, desire, shubha, auspicious, ashubha, inauspicious, parityagi, renouncer, Bhaktiman, devotee, Ya, one who, Sa, is, Me, my, Priyaha, dear. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. One who neither grasps pleasure or grief, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, is very dear to me. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss, nor is he very much anxious to get a son or disciple, nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he is not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of his devotional service. Such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuran Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Bhakti Siddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatehi Visheshatah Adadana Strinam Dante Ridam Yachi Punah Punah Srimad Rupa Padam Bhoja Dulishyam Janma Janmani Amsho Bhagavatu Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Sarabata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Presta Shatkaromismam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We do know from studying the activities and the life of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, Founder-Ācārya of ISKCON, and of the global Krishna Consciousness movement, that Srila Prabhupada, whenever we see these descriptions in the Bhagavad-gītā or Srimad Bhagavatam or Chaitanya Charitamrita about the exalted qualities of a pure devotee or a great devotee, we do know that this applies perfectly to Srila Prabhupada. What is quite significant here is a sentence that I'm thinking. Prabhupada says, he is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspicious, inauspicious, and sinful activities. He's prepared to accept all kinds of risk for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord. Now, we do know when Srila Prabhupada came to this country on the Jaladuta boat from Calcutta to Boston, that he suffered 2 heart attacks. And there's a conversation where Srila Prabhupada describes how at one point he had a dream where all of the different avatars of Lord Krishna were rowing the boat, bringing him to Lord Krishna. You may have seen also on the internet at some point a picture of Srila Prabhupada, and his eyes are closed, and Lord Krishna is very gently massaging his head. Now, this is not artavad. Artavad is a Sanskrit word which means exaggeration or excessive glorification. No, these are factual experiences which Srila Prabhupada had. Now, Srila Prabhupada took great risk to come to this country. We do know Prabhupada himself in one conversation, when he was in Boston, getting ready to come off the boat, the captain of the Jaladuta, Captain Pandey, was approached by Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada was trying to sell him his book. He says, I don't have any money. Can you buy a set of books? And Captain Pandey asked Srila Prabhupada, well, how much do you want? Well, it's $15. And Captain Pandey gave him $20 for the first set of books sold in this country, the original Srimad Bhagavatam, just like we have Krishna Katha with a picture of the beautiful Bhagavatams. So this is very important, because sometimes people think, oh, If I can get a very satisfactory or a very auspicious gain or good bank balance or a new car or a new vehicle or a new property, all this will make me very happy. And then gradually they find, well, wait a minute, I got all this, but I'm still not happy. Or here's that beautiful picture, thank Nilshyam Prabhu, of Srila Prabhupada's head being massaged by Lord Krishna. This is very, very important. One thing also that we see in this particular text, the second Sanskrit line is nasochati nakankshati. He does not lament, neither laments nor desires. This is similar to the line in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad-gītā, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati Nakankshati. That one who is situated on a platform of Brahma Bhuta, he does not lament or desire. And Srila Prabhupada, in one explanation of this verse, says, a learned man means that one who sees a brahmana, a cow, a dog eater, that he becomes a pandit. Everyone is equal, because Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, here it is, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma nasochati nakankshati sama sarveshu bhuteshu madbhaktim labate param. Srila Prabhupada translate, one who is thus transcendently situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. What is so significant when we analyze what is going on in the material world, everyone is constantly hankering and constantly lamenting. The other day, I was seeing somebody sent me a clip of snow removal in Canada, and they had 5 snow plows clearing the highway with all the lights blazing. There was another clip in Montreal, Canada, of a similar situation with big, massive snowstorms with these big, massive trucks loading up the snow because there's so much snow, they can't just push it to the side of the road or the highway. They have to pick it up in these long trucks, blow it in with these powerful blowers, move that away. Now, this is a perfect example of what we were describing in the beginning of our reading and discussion today about the miseries of the material world. In other words, these miseries are inflicted upon the living being, and no amount of so-called scientific advancement or wishful thinking or advancement in technology will counteract these difficulties. Those of you who know the history of the world, you know, there was a big volcanic explosion in a place called Krakatoa. This was in Southeast Asia in the 1800s. And it was so powerful that this was felt hundreds and thousands of miles away. It was one of the biggest volcanic explosions in the history of the world. We have seen in places like Alaska or Chile, there have been some very powerful explosions where sometimes hundreds of people or thousands of people will die. Massive loss of property, housing, transportation, everything is disturbed. Can any scientist or any person who claims that they will counteract material nature will say, okay, we will no longer have earthquakes in Chile or Japan? Interestingly, one time we were in the city of Osaka, Japan on Sankirtan, and we had to rent a hotel. So we were on the 5th or 6th floor of the hotel. And all of a sudden, at one point, the hotel started to wave left and right, and everything was swinging from one side of the room to the other. So we tumbled to the floor, went under a desk. Can anybody stop the earthquake? Can anybody say, oh, from now on, no more earthquake in Japan? Actually, Japanese engineers have designed the buildings there to sway with the earthquakes. because it is so frequent. They've learned over the years to construct the buildings in such a way that even if there's an earthquake, the building very rarely falls apart. It will swing with the earthquake. Yes, it's an attempt to counteract the miseries, but no one can stop this influence. The point is that in the material world, the only solution to these miseries is not to hanker or to lament, but to take shelter of Krishna. This is the instruction in the Bhagavad-gītā. This is the instruction in the Srimad Bhagavatam. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a very interesting verse by Krishna Das Kaviraj where he describes Bhadra Bhadra Sakali Mano Dharma, that things which are auspicious or inauspicious, all of these things are simply mental concoctions. These are basically agitations of the mind, thinking that some way or other, if I get some gain or some satisfactory result, oh, now I'll be very happy. And when one is disappointed, not obtaining something which he desires, then the lamentation starts. Actually, if you look at the news in America, everywhere around the world, not just in America, Canada, Europe, Russia, everywhere, everything is functioning on a basis of these two principles. There's propaganda about obtaining sense gratification, obtaining something which is pleasurable for the senses, and then there's lamentation about not obtaining something for the senses or the suffering in the world. An accident, or somebody is lost, somebody has been killed, there's a discord amongst different politicians, there's a big forest fire, there's a big wildfire, there's an earthquake, there's a big flood, there's a war between this group and this group. This will always go on in this world. Dukkalayam asasvatam. This is the verdict and the conclusion of Lord Krishna in the Bhagavad-gītā. This is the situation we are facing. And any attempt to make a solution to this will end up in frustration. The only solution is given in the Bhagavad-gītā itself. Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatpataha tyakpadeham punarjanma naiti mamiti sorjana. That, my dear Arjuna, if one remembers, if one understands the nature, janma karma chame divyan, of my birth and activities, if one understands this, then naiti mamit, no one doesn't have to come back here and suffer again and again. In the writings of Bhaktivedanta Thakur, he explains that the position of the living entity in the material world is like the position of a prisoner who is being punished by the king previously, and even nowadays with some places. Whenever a prisoner, here's the verse that we were reading, Janma karma chame divyam evam yoveti tatpataha tyaktva punarjanma naiti mam iti so Arjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. And Prabhupada explains in the purport, the Lord's descent from his transcendental abode is already explained in the 6th verse. One who can understand the truth of the appearance of the personality of God is already liberated from material bondage, and therefore he returns to the kingdom of God immediately after quitting this present material body. Such liberation of the living entity from material bondage is not at all easy. The impersonalists and the yogis attain liberation only after much trouble and many, many births. Even then, the liberation they achieve merging into the impersonal Brahmajyoti of the Lord is only partial, and there is the risk of returning again to this material world. But the devotee, simply by understanding the transcendental nature of the body and activities of the Lord, attains the abode of the Lord after ending this body, and does not run the risk of returning again to this material world. Now, this is quite significant, because Krishna gives special protection to the devotees. Just recently, one devotee informed me that his brother passed away all of a sudden. And I said, well, some way or other, your brother is very fortunate, because you are a devotee 10 generations, and I quoted him from one of Prabhupada's purports, 10 generations before you and 10 generations after you will all become liberated. How exactly it happens, that is up to Krishna. But this is guaranteed by Krishna. We see so many places in the Bhagavad-gītā where Krishna assures Arjuna. Just like in Australia one time, Prabhupada was asked, well, how long does it take to be freed from this material world? How long does it take to happen? And Prabhupada says, you do not read Bhagavad-gītā? Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parikyaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. Prabhupada says it can take 1 minute. 1 minute. Masuchaha, Krishna says to Arjuna, do not worry. All your sinful activities will be cleared up. And this is the power of a pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, to give the knowledge about Krishna, to give the transcendental instruction of Krishna, to give the purifying power of the Bhagavad Dharma, and to engage living entities in hearing about Krishna. And this will save one from the cycle of birth and death and the suffering in this world. Now, this is very important to understand. Even though one is not complete, here we go. Prabhupada explains, this is from Lecture on Bhagavad-gītā, Chapter 2, Text 4 and 5 in London, England, on August 5th, 1973. Oh, yeah, here it says 14 generations. Lord Nrsingadev guaranteed, said, my dear Prahlad, not only your father, but your father's father, his father, up to 14 generations are all liberated, because you are born in this family. Prabhupada explains, then after many prayers, after pacifying the Lord, he was very angry. Then when he was a little pacified, he asked, my dear Lord, can I ask you another benediction? That my father was very, very staunch enemy of you. That was the cause of his death. Now I ask you to kindly excuse him and give him liberation. This is Vaishnava's son. He did not ask anything for himself. And although he knew that his father was the greatest enemy, still he is asking his benediction. This poor fellow may be liberated. So Lord Nrsingadev guaranteed, said, my dear Prahlad, not only your father, but your father's father, his father, up to 14 generations are all liberated. Because you are born in this family, so anyone who has become a Vaishnava, a devotee of the Lord, he is giving the greatest service to the family. Because in relationship with him, his father, mother, anyone, they will be liberated. Just like we've got experience, if a person dies in the fight immaturely, his family is taken care of by the government. Similarly, to become a devotee is the greatest qualification. He's got everything. Yatra yogeshvaro harihi, yatra dhanurdaraha partaha. Bhagavad-gītā 1878. When there is Krishna and when there is devotee, all victory, all glories are there. It's important to note that in some other places, Prabhupada says 10 generations. In this text, it says 14 generations. But overall, it is guaranteed that Prabhupada explained in several places, 14 generations. So we'll leave it at that for now. Rest assured that engagement in devotional service under the instruction and guidance of Srila Prabhupada, is the source of all auspiciousness and all good results. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Your sound.
Thank you. I know. I get muted and I can't come on. So thank you very much for the excellent explanation of this verse. And I wanted to further explain from the verse by reading from the Bhagavad-gītā, everyone, text 21 in chapter 3 of Karma Yoga. Very important verse for understanding leadership, because so many people claim to be leader, but they give bad example. Like, for example, in America, the president there goes to McDonald's. This is unfortunate because when you eat meat, you suffer a great karmic disaster in your life for who knows how many millions of years. Just like we're reading today, and thank you for that explanation about the benefits of devotional service to yourself and your generations that you're affiliated with or attached to. 11, 10, or 14, or whatever the number is, there is all auspiciousness in devotional service. So text 21, Yad Yad Acharyati Shrestas Tat Tad Eva Tarojana Sayat Pramanam Kurute Lokastad Anuvartate. Lokastad Anuvartate. Translation, whatever action is performed by a great man, and in this case, we're referring to Srila Prabhupada, period. Common men follow in his footsteps. And this happened. And whatever standards he sets by exemplary acts, not by words. Words are cheap, everybody. You can say whatever you want, but if you don't do anything, it's just whimsical behavior. All the world pursues. This is the leadership purport by Srila Prabhupada. In general, people in general always require a leader who can teach the public by practical behavior. A leader cannot teach the public to stop smoking if he himself smokes. Lord Chaitanya said that a teacher should behave properly even before he begins teaching. He who teaches in that way is called Acharya, or the ideal teacher. Now I'm going to mention, I posted on PDA this morning. If you're a member of Facebook page, please send over an invitation to join PDA group page, and you'll get information on many different subjects there. But I put up the post of Dasa Avatar Prabhupada speaking about sannyas. If you look at it, you'll see. And it's not Vishvakarma or Yaśodā-nandana or any of us speaking. It's Prabhupada speaking. And he refers to sannyas, how the sannyas is supposed to live very simply, very austerely, like Lord Chaitanya demonstrated practically how a sannyas should be. Not spend $30,000 on your bathroom, not live in a marble Bhajan Kutir in Vrindavan. That's a sample of some things that are going on. Or in South Africa. Oh, this is the example. Or this is the situation. Oh, my disciples did it for me. They made me do it. Or build a bigger Vyasasan than Srila Prabhupada. And then sit on it in front of everyone, in front of Prabhupada, your guru. Therefore, a teacher must follow the principles of Shastra scripture to reach the common man. The teacher cannot manufacture rules against the principles of revealed scriptures. Manufacture. Change the books. Where's the authority when there's a change? And some people have changed to justify their personal purposes. The revealed scriptures like Manu Samhita and others are considered the standard books to be followed by human society. Thus, the leaders' teaching should be based on the principles of the standard rules as they are practiced by the great teachers like Srila Prabhupada. He sets the example. Nobody else. The Srimad Bhagavatam also affirms that one should follow in the footsteps of great devotees. Think about footstep, Dasa Avatar, footstep. Not wander around on the path. You step right behind the spiritual master and follow his example. And that is the way of progress on the path of spiritual realization. So we're trying, all of us, to do that. The king or the executive head of the state, the father, and the school teacher are all considered to be natural leaders of the innocent people in general. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility. Whether you're a leader of a country or you're a leader in a spiritual movement, like Prabhupada started, you have great responsibility. We have to struggle to try to live up to the responsibilities, but at the same time, we cannot be fraudulent. We call it the ISKCON deep state. All such natural leaders have a great responsibility to their dependents. Therefore, they must be conversant with standard books of moral and spiritual codes. Let's go back again to the verse today and read this, text 17, the purport, because it brought to mind when I was reading it that Prabhupada wrote this purport because he was perfectly representing the principles expounded in this purport in his own personal behavior. When he was robbed in New York City, in that office where he had no bathroom and no kitchen, no money, how did he react? He did not react with any kind of lamentation, not at all. A pure devotee is neither happy nor distressed over material gain and loss. Who is that pure devotee? Srila Prabhupada. Nor is he very much anxious to get a son or a disciple, like so many people we know that are searching around the world, getting on planes and trying to recruit people to be their disciples. Nor is he distressed by not getting them. If he loses anything which is very dear to him, he does not lament. He lost his typewriter. Dasa Avatar, his typewriter. Did he lament? No. And it's interesting to note here, Prabhus, that he's writing this after he went through these experiences. So this is practical realization. He was not lamenting. He carried on and everything. Similarly, he does not get what he desires. He's not distressed. Prabhupada was trying to get a temple, get support from his Indian god brothers. He got none. We just read the story about Mangala Niloy, and we read the story about the letter to Madhava Maharaj, and he got no help from them. I wonder why. He left India. Neil Sharma, why did Prabhupada leave India? I know. He told me. Similarly, if he does not get what he desires, he's not distressed. He is transcendental in the face of all kinds of auspiciousness, inauspiciousness, and sinful activities. He is prepared to accept all kinds of risks. So many risks that Prabhupada went through. The ride on the boat, as Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu mentioned, the ride on that boat. And you see in the diary, when he had the heart attacks, he stopped commenting. You saw the line in the book, empty. Nothing is an impediment in the discharge of devotional service for Srila Prabhupada. Nothing was. That was his example. Yad yadacharyati shreshtas. Whatever great men do, common men will follow. Whatever standards he set, the whole world pursues. Don't change it. This kind of change is an abomination to the mission of Lord Chaitanya and the example he set as a perfect sannyasi. And Prabhupada also did himself. Such a devotee, when someone is in that state, such a devotee is very dear to Krishna. And so these two purports and these two verses really reveal the whole business of leadership. And that is not an easy thing to achieve. How to overcome sex desire. That's not easy. It's very hard. For some people, it's easier than others. But for some people, it is very difficult. And you have to always pray, please relieve me from the bondage of material desire. Oh, my dear Lord, I am such a fallen soul. Now, someone could say, well, how can you say that? Well, it's up to the devotee to try to invoke that type of sincerity in their practice. I'm so attached to everything I have. Oh, please help me surrender it. And be a real Goswami. And Goswami does not mean robe. That is a mistake. If you think that you're renounced, but you're wearing a saffron robe, and Prabhupada says, you don't carry a secretary. You don't create a comfortable place to live. You don't gather up money and store it in a bank account in case you have problems and you need some security. Prabhupada gave up everything, and he set the highest example. And therefore, we can follow in his footsteps. And in this way, hopefully, at the time of our death, we'll get out of this miserable place called the material world. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu, please, if you could further expand.
Very important points which are being raised here. When we see these descriptions given in the various purports by Srila Prabhupada, this brings us to the reality of what is a pure devotee and how to become a pure devotee. As we started last Thursday, we will continue today with a reading of the Lilamrita Review. We are reading from section 1, page number 1. These are descriptions from Srila Prabhupada himself explaining what is the meaning. We're reading from the bottom. This chapter would only be discussing a Parishat pure devotee, namely Om Vishnupad Paramamsa Paribrajacharya Ashtottara Shri Srimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda. As the bona fide spiritual master, he is described as such in the Gurvastakam prayers. Nikunjayuno Ratikeli Siddhyai. The spiritual master is expert in assisting the gopis within the groves of Vrindavana. Sakshadaritvena Samasta Shastra. He is directly as good as the Supreme Lord on account of being the most confidential servitor of the Lord. Gurvastakam 6:7. The Lord's associate is also described as a Nitya Siddha. Quote, Nitya Siddha Bhakta indicates the eternally liberated associate of the Lord. Such devotees enjoyed the company of the Lord in 4 relationships from Madhya Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita 6:12. Even if Srila Prabhupada was a sadhana siddha, there would be no difference between himself and a Nitya Siddha devotee. Prabhupada quotes, a Nitya Siddha is one who is eternally Krishna's associate, like Nanda and Mother Yashoda, an expansion of Krishna's personal body, whereas a Sadhana Siddha is an ordinary human being who, by executing pious activities and following regulative principles of devotional service, also comes to that stage. From Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 8, Text 48. But Srila Prabhupada has written in his purport, in his books, wherein he compares himself with Nitya Siddhas in one letter to Tamal Krishna. Srila Prabhupada spoke of the qualification of the Nitya Siddha and then stated that he possessed those qualifications. And another spiritual master is Nitya Siddha, who is never forgetful of Krishna throughout his whole life. So far my present life is concerned, I do not remember any part of my life when I was forgetful of Krishna. Letter to Tamal Krishna Das, June 1970, Los Angeles. We will continue with the program and we will read more of this tomorrow morning during the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Please unmute me. Thank you. So I wanted to read this section that Nilesh Sharma put up. I thought it was appropriate, and thank you. The best way to teach is by personal demonstration. Teaching by demonstration is a teaching method that involves showing the students how to apply theories and concepts through examples and activities. It can be it helps students make connections between theory and practice. And, you know, this is relevant, of course, to you, Nilesh, in the dentistry, and to Ram Raghava, who's also a doctor, that a lot of times they use cadavers to operate and show people how to deal with the problems that people have in their life, you know, from disease. I know one of authorities on medicine, Dr. Norman Walker. I used to have a juice bar, Yasoda, years ago. We were trying to produce a business that would promote vegetarianism. We thought, oh, this is good. And it was very popular. And we fell upon a person who was practically very experienced in this field of the human body. And if you look at his books, he's got very intricate diagrams of the human body that he sketched himself. He actually lived for 117 years, and he was the master of juicing, you know, carrot juice, apple, you know, all the natural juices. And he did all these beautiful sketches to demonstrate what the body was. So he taught by example. He didn't teach by precept. And because of that, he was able to reveal the human body. So like that, we have to practice what we are saying we're going to do. For example, our chanting of rounds. It's expected that if someone is a disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he should chant 16 rounds a day. This is not an option. It's not an option. It's a rule, and it can't be broken. So, like that, the different rules and regulations, the different practices are meant for our benefit, Dharma Bhavana. They're not for chastisement. They're for enlightenment. When you follow them, you get realization, Vijaya Pandit. There's such a thing as jnanam, vijnanam. Like when we say, oh, it's better to shave your head. Well, some people say, well, I don't need to shave my head. Well, I didn't say you had to shave your head, but it's better to shave your head. Because Prabhupada liked to see his disciples with their head shaved. And it's a fashion nowadays. It's not like years ago when you shaved your head, it was an embarrassment. Oh, that guy's got a shaved head. He looks freaky. Nowadays, the people got purple hair, yellow hair, pink hair, no hair, long hair. That's also a style. So there's all kinds of hairs. But what is the hair? It's just dirty. Hair is dirty. That's what it is. And, you know, when you get rid of it, it's much better. But that's up to the individual. I mean, it's not going to save you at the time of death if you've got a shaved head or not. Although, when you're going to pass, if you have a sika, right, and then you have your neck beads and the different devotional paraphernalia that you're supposed to have on, then it's a sign that when the decision is made, the devotees, the Vishnu Dutas, will take you, not the Yamadutas. So these are different reasons why we do this, because people ask me, well, how come someone asked me the other day, do you still have that piece of hair at the back of your head? Could you shave that off? I go, why would you want me to do that? Well, it doesn't look good. And then I explained to this person, this friend of mine, Dharma Bhavana, I said, listen, I'm going to tell you one thing. What? This is a sign. So if I'm leaving, they can pull me out by the tuft of my hair, out of my body, and I can go back to the spiritual world. That's the meaning of it. Oh, okay, then you just leave your hair that way. So lots of rules and regulations, lots of things to do. All of us, you know, I'm not claiming to be any pure devotee for sure. I know it. I've been through, you know, all kinds of trials and tribulations in my life. But we're trying every day, every week to run these classes, to explain our business. We have all kinds of books we're planning to produce. Yaśodā-nandana, as you know, I just talked to Rupa Goswami. He goes, oh, we should do a cookbook. I said, yes, we're going to do a cookbook, not higher taste, the kitchen religion. Not higher taste, a better book, a more detailed book on the meaning of prasadam, the value of prasadam, how to prepare prasadam, on the values of the different ingredients that are in the prasadam for our health, and all kinds of recipes that Prabhupada gave us to understand the great aspects of the kitchen religion. We've got this book that Yaśoda's going to do, which he's already done, which is to explain the corrections about the Lilamrita. Beautiful, fantastic. He mentioned it, and we're reading about it. We're reading from it. We've got that. We've got the guide to self-realization we want to produce. All kinds of chapters to give people understanding of our philosophy and the ability to enter into it and not just take a book and throw it away. That's what they used to do. I used to go to O'Hare Airport. You distribute a book. I distributed 30 big books. I distributed 30 big books one day. Actually, in Baton Rouge, I did. When we had travelers. But what did they do with the books? They threw them in the garbage. What good is that? Oh, you get some benefit, okay. But there's a lot more profound meaning in these books that people are missing because they're not inspired to read. A lot of my friends, they tell me, oh, people don't read books anymore. Oh, well, okay, but that is generally how you learn. So lots of examples we need and lots of activity. We'll move forward with our panel. I'll ask Dharma Bhavana to give a few comments, and then we'll move to Nilesh. He's already got his hand up, by the way. Thank you, Nilesh. Dharma Bhavana in Texas. Could you unmute him, please?
There it is. I got it. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Yeah, we had a beautiful discussion this day. Yaśodā-nandana Prabhu mentioned how sometimes our family members don't like us becoming a devotee, and then but everybody gets all the benefit anyway, because 10 generations or 14 generations get some kind of liberation. So these are beautiful discussions. Like here, this is a real safe place for devotees to come together. We hardly ever get angry at each other. We just discuss the pastimes of the Lord and Prabhupada's glories. And I was remembering when I was a brahmachari, it was a long, long time ago, on Sundays, the whole day would be around preparing for the Sunday feast. We'd shave up. And after a few weeks in the brahmachari ashram, I was a little bit astonished. I didn't know that devotees get angry at each other. And one devotee got angry at somebody else over some small thing. And I realized that, well, devotees do get angry sometimes at each other. It just happens. And here we are in year 2025. Sometimes you hear different podcasts and you ad hominem attacks. It's kind of like a real strange place. But I wanted to read from Chaitanya Charitamrita, if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Madhya Lila, chapter 14, text 21. Madhya Lila, chapter 14, text 21. This was when King Prataparudra was trying to get the mercy of the Lord by meeting him in different ways. And the devotees were trying to help the king meet Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to follow the real etiquette of a sannyasi and not associate with pounds, shillings, and pence people. So this is text 21. Seeing the Lord's special mercy upon King Prataparudra, the devotees praised the king's fortune, and their minds became open and blissful. Purport. This is a characteristic of a Vaishnava. He is never envious if one receives the mercy and strength of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. A pure Vaishnava is very happy to see a person elevated in devotional service. Unfortunately, there are many so-called Vaishnavas who have become envious to see someone actually recognized by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It is a fact that no one can preach Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's message without receiving the special mercy of the Lord. This is known to every Vaishnava. Yet, there are some envious people who cannot tolerate the expansion of this Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. They find fault with a pure devotee preacher and do not praise him for the excellent service he renders in fulfilling Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. That's all. That's saying thank you, Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you very much. I wanted to just, before we move forward, mention when we used to go to Mayapur, I got the realization, because I went from 73 every year till 70, well, at least all the years with Prabhupada and then further, that when we went there, Prabhupada wanted us to come to Mayapur so that he could demonstrate to his godbrothers that there was a success that he was having by bringing white people into Krishna consciousness, because we were considered to be unqualified by birth. And he wanted to explain to people, to demonstrate that it was not by birth, but by surrender that one can take up Krishna consciousness. And it was really great. You see that wonderful photograph sometimes, Nilesh, of that caravan of devotees going from Mayapur up to the yoga pit where the birth of Lord Chaitanya was. And they took that photograph of a few hundred of us. We were all marching together up the street, and it was really a celebration of Prabhupada's success and being able to successfully converting people into the Vaishnava path of devotional service. Krishna Katha Prabhu in San Diego. Maybe you could make a few comments on today's class for us. Are you there?
Yeah,
go ahead.
Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Thank you guys very much for braving the crazy weather in Hamilton and in Northern California. Honestly, I'm so full of gratitude from the very first time I tuned in to one of the PDA and Hare Krishna Society classes. I was immediately attracted because the soul knows the truth. Okay, we already know the Supreme Personality of Godhead intimately. And we all know how we got here. We all know the philosophy, and we're trying to get back to our original, a relationship, our original position in the spiritual world. So I can't stress enough how important this media of YouTube and live classes via Zoom and the work that the PDA and Hare Krishna Society is doing to distribute books. Prabhupada wanted us to distribute books. Whatever someone might say, oh, I'd rather, receive the knowledge by, audio book because I don't have time, or I'm not a very good reader, I'm not attentive. Well, that's fair. That's a fair assessment. At least the person's being honest. But you don't have to necessarily read Prabhupada's books. You can listen to his lectures. I mean, the preference is to read his books. That's what he wants us to do. That's his instruction. And look how much ecstasy and nectar you're receiving, Vishwakarma, from the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, right? Nectar of Devotion. That was one of the first books I read as a young Bhakta in 1978. The Sri Upanishad, Easy Journey, and Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction. So I was a reader. I was fresh out of college. So for me, it was like reading what I always knew to be true. Every single line was coming to me in, here it is. This is what you already know. And it's now being said in perfect form, right? English language, perfect everything. Everything was perfect. And it still is, as long as we don't change anything that the Acharya has offered to his Acharya, right? His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta. That's the chain of command, so to speak, right? I'm from law enforcement, so you don't jump over the chain of command, right? In any law enforcement or military setting. So in the same way, you don't jump over Prabhupada and say, oh, I'm going to worship, Rupa Goswami. But what we like about what Prabhupada has given us is he says, when you read the Nectar of Devotion, you are directly associating with the personality Rupa Goswami, who was given instruction by Lord Chaitanya himself to write the philosophy, the intimate activities of Bhakti Yoga. So I can't say enough about how I tune into these classes. I can't always participate. Sometimes I'm driving, sometimes it's just not practical, and it would kind of spoil the flow. And if anybody knows about the flow of a production, it's you, Vishwakarma. So, honestly, I don't know what else to say other than I want to contribute. I want to keep contributing. And whatever tiny amount I already have contributed is in my spiritual bank account. I have faith, strong faith that is a fact. And any advancement that any one of us can make every day when we're chanting our japa, we're intentional about it, how we hold each bead, how we listen to every sound of every part of the mantra. This is all our duty, but the benefit is it's not work. It's the beginning of ecstasies again. It's the beginning of full self-realization again. Meaning we've already been there and we're just trying to get back. That's all. And I can't thank you guys enough, you and Yaśodā-nandana. And I'll leave it to the net. I know Nilesh Sharma has his hand up, so he's next for sure.
In the host position, and they're muting me. Please don't do that if you don't mind. Thank you. Okay, we'll move forward. We're getting to the end of the program. And okay, I hope can you still hear me, Krishna Kata?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. We're getting to the end of the program, and we do appreciate your attendance in the program, all of us. And I see we had a good turnout today. We had almost 31 people. We've had a drop. We at one time, we used to be on Wednesdays, and we shifted the Wednesday program at Chaitanya Charitamrita to a Thursday to accommodate. the production, but we've had a drop in that attendance. So during the week, if you can try to make it out or invite other people to have participated, it would be more encouraging for all of us, since we're putting in time year after year on this. And this is very important. This whole thing is very important for us because we realize someone was criticizing us, a former member. Oh, you guys don't go out and distribute books on the street. Well, we're working on multiple programs to distribute books, to give information to people, and try to contact millions of people online. It's good that you go out and you get some money and you can pay your bills and distribute books and whatever you do, because a lot of people get into this. It's a good business. It's not a bad thing, and I compliment some of our members that do this. Yeah, it's good. Prabhupada wanted us to do that. But this reaching out through the internet is a very important part of our program. The publishing of books is very important, and the expansion of our message to other people. Like I said, we're going to be changing the program. We've got a series of 18 new shows that are going to come out, and we're going to give it introductions to the whole philosophy to everybody in the general public, because this is more specific, these classes, to people like ourselves that are already studying the program. And that's for everyone's benefit. Neela Shama, Haribo, go ahead. You got your hand
Hare
up.
Krishna.
What have you got
Hare
for
Krishna.
Yaśodā-nandana?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Go ahead.
I've got several points which I would like to share about today's class.
Okay.
The first point, what I'd like to talk about is this, is, these are the daily messages which are sent out by Srila Prabhupada. And I felt that today's message is exactly what we are discussing in the class. And this shows us that Prabhupada is still guiding us spiritually, even though his physical body may not be there. But look at his Vani incarnation. Unless one becomes detestful of this material world, it is to be understood that he's not yet entered into the spiritual understanding. Forget spiritual world, spiritual understanding. This is the test of bhakti. If one has entered the domain of devotional service, this material world will not at all be tasteful for him. Mayapur, February 22, 1976. Now, this is the one part which I was talking about. And the second part, if we were to see, is Krishna talks about in text 54, chapter 18, Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma na sochati na kankshati samast sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. In this material world, we are always going after some or the other profit. We are trying to move, we are trying to go to a different country, we are trying to switch jobs. Why? Because we want more profit. But what is the highest profit? And this is what Krishna says, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. And the pure devotee understands this and puts it into practice, where he realizes that devotional service to Krishna, Mad, me, Bhaktim, if you look at the word-to-word meaning, Mad Bhaktim, my devotional service, my devotional service, where did it go? Sorry, I lost it. 1854. Mad Bhakti, my devotional service, you see, and this is where the highest profit lies. And somebody who is still after material benefits in form of some kind of money, some kind of what you call profit, as we talk about profit, Mad Bhaktim Labhate Param. You see this? Right here. So, Mad Bhaktim, my devotional service, Labhate, gains, and Param is transcendental. So, the highest form of profit we can talk about is this. And of course, we are talking about also is Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 6, Canto 6, chapter 7, verse 12, where Prabhupada talks about Lord Indra. Now, we are all very, very, proud of our little material gains which we have. And here Lord Indra is talking about himself. Although I am king of the demigods who are situated in the mode of goodness, I was proud of a little opulence and polluted by false ego. Under the circumstances, who in this world would accept such, under the circumstances, one who in this world who would accept such riches at the risk of falling down, alas, I condemn my wealth and opulence. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu prayed to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam, va jagadish isha kamaye. O my Lord, I do not aspire for material opulence or wealth, nor do I want a great number of followers to accept me as their leader, nor do I want a very beautiful wife to please me. What do you want? Mama janmani janmani ishware bhavatat bhaktir ahetuke tvai. I do not even want liberation. All I want, life after life, is to be faithful servant of your Lordship. So this is again another part which we are trying to understand, is that how can we look into the practice? By practice what you preach, this is what they say. You walk the walk and talk the talk, you see. And this is what Prabhupada used to do, is that I remember somebody was talking, and maybe Yasoda-nandana Prabhu can expound on it, where somebody gave Prabhupada a Rolex watch. So whatever watch he was wearing, he took it off and put the Rolex watch. Now, somebody may say, oh, well, the Rolex is more expensive, so he got rid of a cheaper watch. But then when somebody else gifted him another watch, not that he collected all those watches, like we have so many Bhagavans in India who have collected 42 Rolls Royces and things like that, said he did not collect the watches, but he would remove the Rolex, give it off to somebody as prasad, and wear that new one which is gifted. So this is what we talk about, detachment to anything material. Why? Because the highest labha, the param labhate, is mad bhaktim, devotion to Krishna. You see, and then coming to 2 points which Vishwakarma Prabhu was talking about, is the distribution of the books and when they throw it in the garbage. I had read it, I heard somewhere, somebody was saying, is that what happens when somebody does that? And it seems that they went to Prabhupada, and Prabhupada says that yes, it is an offense to throw the Bhagavad-gītā into the trash, but the offense is temporary. But the mere fact that he held the Bhagavad-gītā even for 1 second or 1 minute, that what you call benefit is eternal. So the benefit is eternal, but the offense is temporary. So if you can propound on that, that would be very interesting to know as to how do we approach this particular part, and where is it that Prabhupada has talked about it. It'll be very interesting to understand that. Hare Krishna.
Well, that is a good point, and really in context, it is inexhaustible, the opportunity that a person has to render a little service. Okay, fair enough. And Prabhupada would always help encourage everybody to do some service. But as you know, and I know, and all of us know, the actual path back to Godhead requires a tremendous amount of discipline. So you begin. Better to start. I always say that in terms of real estate, when I used to teach real estate to other people, how to become wealthy. You do it. How do you do it? You do it this way. The first thing you do, Nilesh, is what? Buy your first property. If you don't buy your first one, how can you have your second one? How can you get to 30 or 40? When you get to 40, it's more complicated. When you get there, but you have to start. So the start is the beginning. So you get a book, okay, fair enough. And then you throw it away, okay. How much advancement did you make? If you eat meat all your life, well, the laws of karma, the circumstances are very complex. That's not for us to decide. That's Krishna's decision. But at the same time, we're stressing this point of be committed to bhakti yoga, to surrender, and show it in what you do. Like you mentioned, you read that very interesting point about money. How many people surrender any money? Hardly anybody. That's our experience, practically. But that's their position. They don't want to. They have millions. But if we say, we're going to produce books, is anybody right? Oh, we're going to give some money. No, I'm saving some money for us for that, by the way. And I'm going to send a donation for it. So this applying the process is the real challenge. Yad yad, whatever great example you do, other common men will follow, and that'll be the simple thing. We'll wind up because we're a little bit late. Please, just short, go ahead.
You know,
Go ahead.
I wanted to share one more thing.
Yeah,
I wanted
please.
to share one more thing. Is
Yes, sir.
you know, even in the Christian religion, we have this particular saying, Lord giveth and Lord taketh away. You
Yes.
see? And it is very interesting that the verse acknowledges that the God is sovereign even when bad things happen. And you are giving the example when Prabhupada was, you know, his typewriter was stolen and everything was stolen. So it was very interesting. And look at this part, is that God uses bad things for his good purpose. So trying to understand that everything is associated with the Lord, even in the Christian religion, any bona fide religion, as
Yeah.
Prabhupada says, teaches the same thing. It does not teach us anything different. And that is what I wanted to share also, is that whatever Prabhupada said, whatever he has said, everything kind of merges into the same part, provided we stick to his original, unadulterated, unchanged books, then we can get the original purport of it. And that is following the bona fide spiritual master's footsteps, so that we do not deter from that particular path. Because imagine if we were walking on a cliff, on an edge where there is valley on both sides, and you know that you have to follow the leader exactly in his footsteps, otherwise you're going to fall to death on either cliff. And walking in this path of God consciousness is walking on a razor sharp edge. And so if we don't follow the footsteps of a proper guide, guess where we're going to be? We're going to be falling into Maya, into the cliff, onto the valley of Maya, into the abyss, and it will take so many births for us to come back to the same position. So some food for thought for everybody. Hare
Yeah,
Krishna.
thank you. That's very well spoken. I really appreciate that. And I want to thank everyone for being a part of the program today. Dasha Avatar, thank you for coming. I recognize when I see people's faces if I mention your name, it's because I see you in the screen. I can see your expression. And Michael, like you came up just now, we are watching what's going on, and we're trying to, have a relationship with all of us, with everyone in a personal way, because we do appreciate you being involved. And, we'll all go back to Godhead together, Ninesh, on this path of devotional service. And we're going to surrender some more. Yes, it will grow. It will get better. Things will be optimistic, despite today it seems kind of depressing in a way. Hardly anybody's really interested. But what can you do? Try your best. We're going to move forward with the chanting of Hare Krishna, led by Srila Prabhupada, for 2 minutes and 54 seconds exactly, as timed by our good God brother Ram Raghava, our doctor in America. And then after, we'll wind up the program with our end section. All glories to the Sankirtan movement. We'll see you tomorrow for Srimad Bhagavatam class at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Let us offer our respectful obeisances to all the assembled Vaishnavas globally who are sincerely interested in practicing bhakti yoga in the association of other Prabhupada disciples. Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindhu bhayevacha patitanam pavenibhyo vaishnavibhyo namo namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, just like desire trees, and are full of compassion for the fallen souls. That is Srila Prabhupada to perfection. Hare Krishna. Please bring the last screen up. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,